and Facebook probably missed the opening music, but that's okay.
Maybe we should go back and play it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Oh, alert.
there we go.
And now, oh, there it is. Look at that sexiness.
There
I'm
we
just
go.
sitting here looking at my phone. I'm gonna share this with people.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Hit the microphone. Yeah, now we're going up. Sorry. We had some changes. We were doing stuff last week. I did not. It's hey, you get what you get. We always have something.
Oh,
technical.
Bush League, bro. Bush
Bush
League.
League. That's right.
With my squeaky chair too.
you got a squeaky chair going on.
Facebook
Probably missed the. You do have that. Okay, I see. I'm up on there doing some sharing. Anyways, welcome everyone back to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. Thank you for joining us here on this August 12th. We got a lot going on. Hold on a second. Oh, I gotta move some stuff here. I got in behind the green screen to get something out, and it didn't cover it up. You notice, Toby?
Yeah.
I got
behind the curtain. Behind the curtain.
Behind the green curtain. There's a movie like that one. I think it's Behind the Green Door, but we won't talk about that tonight. It was featured in Cannonball Run. The Asian racers were watching it on their TV in their car. Do you remember that?
That's right. That's right.
I bet Doug would be. Yeah.
Classic movie. Classic. Man, they just don't make movies like that anymore.
No.
Like that actually really was a classic. I remember falling in love with Lamborghinis, not because the cars are really cool, because like the girls would wear bikinis and then they would spray paint the car a different color and change colored bikinis. And I just was like, oh, if you have a nice car, you got to be color coordinated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those movies aren't going to exist anymore. Because of political correctness and woke culture and all that other cancel culture and everything. You know, I don't know if you've got kids like I do, Toby.
That
and
was like Bert and Dom. Who else? Like
yeah.
Sammy Jr. Right?
Dude, that was it was like they all signed up. It was a who's who of 80s stars, comedy, action, everything. It was. I don't know. You know, I'm curious. I don't know if Rob could even find this. Who got all those people together? They should do a documentary on that, like how did that happen? When you go back and look now at the actors that were in it, it was a huge cast, and it was a lot of people. And it was a great example of where the first one was the best. The sequels never added up, never got close.
No.
2, 3, I don't know. There's some crazy, but that first one was, yeah. Dom and Bert were they led it right there. But
and it was comedy based on a true story.
Right. Yeah. Like, inspired. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Inspired. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, right? But it was inspired by the real, and it still happens today, from what I understand. In fact, it happened last year. There was a dude that did it during COVID.
And did it in like record time. Yeah.
Because like no one was on the road. He did it like in like April, May of last year. I remember, and like raced from New York to L.A. and went as fast as he want because everybody was locked up in their houses.
Yeah, like I know, and the funny thing is they do it. I watched a small little thing on him doing it, and so like they had multiple drivers. So they had like 2 or 3 drivers, and the goal was to average 85 miles an hour.
Right.
So like they had to average 85 miles an hour the entire way across the country. They had the fuel worked out. Like, I mean, they scientifically broke it down by route, by mileage, by driving. They had, I don't know how, X band, Y band, M band, like all the different radars, like
laser, everything.
Yeah. They had it all worked out, and they just got after it.
Yep.
And I mean, imagine, going across the prairies and stuff, that was like 140, 150, but trying to find that golden band of excellence, in terms of fuel consumption too, because they had to they didn't want to waste time getting fuel either.
Right. And of course, the faster you go, you burn through it quicker, right?
Yeah.
It's all that kind of stuff. So yeah, good things. I wish we were here to talk about that tonight. But sadly we're not. No. We are here to talk about, the flag behind me, or the map on my hat, Afghanistan, primarily. We may talk about some other stuff. But you know, I don't know where to start. I mean, it has been a sad. We all knew this was coming. I think when I say we collectively, anyone in the military, around the military, probably knew this was coming. Hey, Travis, what's up, brother? Been a while. Um, and I think I just don't think any of us saw it coming this fast. I mean, we talked about this. When was it? A few weeks ago, we did a show and we kind of talked about it. I think maybe I was here by myself talking about it, but I did. I did a show where I did like a little one and covered Afghanistan pretty in depth. But yesterday, Toby, the CIA had prior to yesterday had said that the intelligence agencies, not necessarily CIA, had said that they felt that Kabul could fall within 6 months from when we just snuck out of the back door out of Bagram. 6 months Kabul could fall. Yesterday they came out, revised their estimates, and said 3 months before Kabul, the capital, fell into the hands of the Taliban. Cut it in half. That's pretty drastic. And the White House, through Jen Psaki, came out and said they did not agree with the intelligence agencies. So that fiery little redhead and her dementia-filled employer felt, and all of his minions that pull his strings felt that now our intelligence agencies have no idea what they're talking about. There's no way it's going to fall in 3 months. Toby, I have continued to refer to her as our Baghdad Bob, and she continues to prove and hold that image up proudly. Now, in the last 24 hours from when that happened, we have seen three major cities, including the number 2 and number 3 largest cities in Afghanistan, fall: Kandahar, Herat, and Ghazni. Ghazni is not one of the largest cities, but it is a strategically important city in the fact that it is the last major city before you get to Kabul on the only hardball road in Afghanistan, what they call the Ring Road, that the Russians built. It is
Maybe
80.
you've seen a movie, 13 or 12 Strong, like
Yeah, that's up in north. Yeah,
where,
we're talking
but
88.
they talk about that town, and they talk about the importance of the town in terms of the securing of the country.
Right, and it's 88 miles
And
from
if they're like, if
Kabul.
we can get that, then we get this.
Right, 88 miles from Kabul on a fast route. Right, a hardball road, a road that I've driven more times than I can count. And they took Ghazni. Yeah, that was Miles' stomping ground. And last night when that started to happen, and I got word of it, I was just like, man, that didn't take long. And then to see Herat and then Kandahar today, the second largest city, home of the second largest base we had in Afghanistan, the birthplace of the Taliban, the place where they were when Jason Amarine took his team in 2001 and helped conquer the Southern Territory. They own it now. They own roughly 68% of the provinces, over 200, like 230 or 240 something provinces in Afghanistan. They have just about taken over the country. Not in 6 months, not in 3 months. What are we talking? 3 weeks since when we left Bagram? 3 weeks. They're moving at a blitzkrieg pace, taking over that country, and all within 24 hours of when our administration said the intelligence community doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm going to kind of pause right there.
So I would have, and I did. I can't remember how we said this yesterday or not, or 2 days ago. Maybe it's more than that. When they came out with that intelligence report, I disagreed with it too, because I didn't think it would take 3 weeks, not 6 months. I I think that the only reason that it might make it 3 months. It might make it 3 months now is because the efforts today in placed and enacted to try to help get people out safe. So today Secretary Kirby made an announcement. Good press conference.
Spokesman Kirby, right? Spokesman.
Yes, Spokesman Kirby. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
On behalf of Austin, Secretary Austin, he, laid out what they were going to put out, and it being two infantry battalions from the Marine Corps and one infantry battalion from the Army in terms of airfield security, immediate airfield security. So we'll go ahead and say that's airfield seizure. And then, and then an entire brigade task force combat team out of the 82nd staged in Kuwait for follow-on into country. So like the 3 infantry battalions that are arriving in the next 12 to 24 hours, that's based on already in theater or green ramped, as we would say,
Mm-hmm.
CENTCOM DRF positioning. So this is a unit that's on standby in case the balloon goes up. Today they put the balloon up, where yesterday they put the balloon up. Today they're telling everybody the balloon went up, and they're going. And imagine like the PX at Fort Bragg's going wild right now, and it's tough to get Twizzlers and Red Vines.
Hey, Twizzlers, Red Vines, Jerky, and Pringles are double A batteries gone.
There's a mad run right now. There's a mad run on the Haribo gummy bears.
Hey, how many do you think of them young troops, in 82nd that have been walking around slick sleeve when the whole division's all combated up? Them boys they hit clothing sales. We're buying every set of Ranger beads, freaking every tactical gear. I mean, if it's multicam, it's gone.
Yeah, no, like they're going buck wild right now.
Running that AFI Star card up like the thing's on fire.
Yeah, like go star. The so I first and foremost I want to go back to 2011, and then I want to go back another year, 10 years, to 2001. So we engaged the Taliban because of the connection and the support, the direct support of Al-Qaeda. And since then, in the first 10 years, we saw some successes. We saw that the leaders of Al-Qaeda either perished or retreated, then were located and executed. We saw a provisional government stood up. We saw infrastructure in place, and we saw free elections. We saw different administrations take different approaches, but both with moderate forms of success. Some things about the Bush administration worked. Mm-hmm. Some things did not. Some things about the Obama administration worked, and some things did not. And during that time, we saw the massive withdrawal from troops in another area and in another theater, we'll call it, same region, but different theater in terms of Iraq. And the brave men and women stood strong while that happened and witnessed what happened immediately following the removal and withdrawal of the forces in Iraq, which logistically was the largest movement of men and machinery, or humans and machinery, the largest logistical move in the history of mankind, right? Now, that's in a country that's pretty flat, level, and rapidly moved, in terms of hard balls and stuff like that. No massive mountain ranges, no crazy, shenanigans, choke canyons to get things through, no limitations in terms of lift due to helicopters not being able to take altitude and elevation in terms of sling loading stuff, airplanes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we learned that when we got them out, like, what happened to the country and how long did it take for ISIS to go through? So we've had a wonderful demonstration. So we went there for a purpose in 2001. 2011, we witnessed what would happen. And in between 2011 and 2021, we did not set ourselves up for success.
No. We didn't. Now, if you try to play a game without knowing where the goal is, without knowing how to win, you're just running around in the field getting tired.
Yeah. And I agree wholeheartedly. We need to bring our boys home as much as we can.
Yep.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. But like retreat is not winning.
No.
Like we had the opportunity. We saw what was going to happen. So when their intelligence, I'm going to go with the oxymoron on that one, says that they believe that the country's going to fall in 6 months, is like, they're a lot more motivated and they're a lot more industrious than the lazy ISIS.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
ISIS were lazy as shit.
Hey, think of you. You're a fan of UFC. You're a fan of the fight world. If someone in the ring or cage or whatever is getting the shit beat out of them, but then all of a sudden they get a couple good licks in, and their opponent falls back, takes a step, falters, what happens, dude? Our good friend Tim will talk about this. You get instantly pumped, adrenaline pumps in, and your mind says, "Hey, I may win it. Like I got this. I got him." You're kind of getting beat up. You're on the ropes or you're on the side, right? Colton could talk about this. Tim could talk about this, and you're getting your ass handed to you. You're probably starting to think, maybe this one isn't it. Maybe they're gonna get the best of me. He's beating me, but you get a good lick or two on somebody, then you're like. You instantly have a shot of adrenaline, hope, motivation that you're going to win. Let me tell you what. You watch your enemy, essentially us, the United States, the enemy to the Taliban, depart in the middle of the night. The sun's getting you, I see. Depart in the middle of the night. Leave your base wide open. Leave all of that gear. I mean, if anyone has taken time to look at those pictures of the amount of gear and vehicles and weapons and everything else we've left, just depart without it, and then you find out they didn't even tell the local Afghan security forces, and they literally just escaped in the night. Then you're just like, we got them. They're on the ropes. Hey, all of our friends in Pakistan, madrasas, empty them out. This is it. We got them on the run. Get everything. Start taking, and then you get in and you take the northern part of the country. The part of the country that was the only part that defended against. The reason why the Taliban assassinated Massoud on September 10th was because they knew that after the 11th we would align with him, and he controlled the biggest opponent they had, which was the Northern Alliance. He had everyone roped in together in the Northern Alliance, all the tribes, and they knew we would go right to him. What do? We went to the north anyways. We went and worked with General Dustum and all the different leaders up there. You can see it in Horse Soldiers. You can read it in books. Right? But they did that because they knew we were going to line. What did they just do? They just took out the North first. The only part of the country that ever resisted them. What a psychological mind screw that is. They didn't go for Kandahar first. They didn't go for that. They knew that was easy. They went first while they had all their resources, while they had all their weapons, and while they were looking at our backs because we were heading out the door, and they went after the biggest opponent they had first. They hit the biggest dude in the schoolyard. And that was all the opponents of them in the north. They now own the north, and in 48 hours own the entire west and now the south. I mean, they're sweeping right around.
We were looking at that map earlier. And I'm trying to pull it up so we can shoot it over to producer Rob there.
Showing the games from April till August.
Yeah, I'm trying to send that to him right now.
You got it, or you may send it.
I do.
Okay.
I'm just shooting it to him.
No, it's.
It's so, and it happens so fast, and it's only getting faster. Because the more momentum you have, the fear, and now you have like the mob mentality. Like if we don't join, if we don't surrender, what are they going to do? And like there's a real issue of retribution.
Toby, it gets worse, brother. It gets worse. The failed policy of this administration is so on under the spotlight here. Not only have we left in the middle, we didn't do a proper handover. We did year after year in Iraq and Afghanistan. What happens when one unit replaces another? You do a RIP-TOA, relief in place, transfer of authority. We didn't do a RIP-TOA. What happened with us in the Afghan security forces, as good or bad as they are, and they're bad, trust me, I'll be the first to say it, right? We didn't do the handoff. We didn't walk around the perimeter. We didn't point out everything. We just our birds here, we're gone. You'll figure it out, right? So that's number one. Number two, now we are giving up gains, all everything that we gained going all around the country. Number three, the administration literally has begged. You want to show weakness? If you want to understand your enemy, know one thing: strength and power are the only thing that the Muslim world respects, and that's not a whatever racist thing, bias thing, is xenophobia. It is a fact. You ask anyone that is raised and raised Muslim or knows around it, will tell you they respect strength. They do not respect kindness, and they surely don't respect when an administration goes to the Taliban and is practically begging them to please not attack our embassy if you happen to take the whole city and take Kabul. That happened in the last 12 hours. We went to that. We have put our word out and said, "Hey, can you not attack us?" By the way, we're so confident in our Afghan partners, security forces, that we're already planning that you're going to freaking take the city, right? Yeah. And by the way, when you do, can you pretty please not attack us and not attack our embassy, right? Since when? What motivation do they have? They have not. They have not negotiated or compromised anything in 20 years because they have nothing. They don't care. They kill their own people. They murder their own folks. They have no nation state they're protecting. They don't give a shit. And we're asking them not to hurt our people in the embassy after we've just, run rampant all over them for the last 20 years. What a sign of weakness and lack of backbone we have. When we're essentially saying we went up and punched the shit out of somebody and then try to run back home and say, you can't hit, please don't hit me, don't hurt me, even though I just beat the crap out of you. I'm back on my front porch.
Yes, safe zone.
Yeah, safe zone. Yeah. I'm just I can't believe we even did that. I mean, there's so much shit that's happened in the last 24 hours.
Well, like the part that's, I mean, I don't mean to sound cynical. I apologize for that. I'm trying not to be. But fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right.
Right.
We know. We absolutely know what the outcome is going to be. We know what we're dealing with. We've been looking at it. We had a really good first decade. With a lot of other global factors to look at, to demonstrate, the potentialness of it, especially in terms of foreign fighters. And now, then you had an additional 10 years to really come up with a strategy. And I get that when an administration changes, strategy change. But we had, like you said, we had them on the ropes. We dropped Moabs. In terms of like going after high level leadership, we had a pretty strong success rate, both, in conventional military, unconventional military, and paramilitary of, taking care of high level leadership threat.
And real quick, just to interject, that wasn't just the Trump administration. President Obama took out more enemy Taliban leaders inside Pakistan than anybody else.
Yeah, let's not discount the king of the drone strikes.
Right.
Like that dude was just like slaying it. And to his credit, we had them on the ropes. And then it's like, we're like, oh, you know what? Man, I feel like I got a bit of a cramp. I'm not sure. Let me call my masseuse. I'm going to get her to come over in the corner. I'm going to let her work on me a little bit. If you want to continue the fight, go ahead. But I'm just going to sit here because I'm going to let my masseuse, talk, work. Oh, that feels so good.
And she's probably an AFIS masseuse. Probably. I'm just saying.
Yeah, probably AFIS from the kiosk. But and do nothing to stop what was happening. Like,
look, I was the first one.
It doesn't take a bunch of different intelligence agencies to outlay. I mean, this is high school social studies.
Right. I was the first one to say in 2007 that we should have been out of there. I said it a few weeks ago. I reiterated what I said in 2007 that we need we need
a plan.
Take it up. But look, we came in and took Afghanistan with a fraction of soldiers, right? Highly trained, qualified soldiers on the ground with a hell of a lot of ordnance in the air, right? With a minimal footprint We wiped out the Taliban and secured that country. Then we brought everyone in, so on and so forth, right? We did that with a very minimal footprint, right? You can see it in the movies and all that kind of stuff. There's I get it. We want to get our soldiers out of there. I was been the one saying it. However, right, you can't go cold turkey and pull everything. I mean, what I'm hearing and from sources is that yes, there's aircraft over there, but they're coming back with all the ordnance. They're not dropping. Well, one thing, I don't think they've changed the rules where we have to have U.S. eyes on targets and that kind of stuff. We're not just going to drop wherever the Afghan army says they need ordnance. It takes an American JTAC or qualified JTAC to do that. However, just like we went in there with a small, highly trained, skilled force working with indigenous forces, using our special forces, Delta operators, and everyone else, right? That same recipe could keep happening, but it's almost like there was a sucking sound of capabilities, ordnance, and people that left out of there so quick. It's like they were racing not to be the last one left on the and to turn out the lights. And these forces are left out there. Trust me, if we would have had JTACs and some operators in with the Afghan forces in Afghanistan and Herat and Kandahar and Kunduz, all the places that have fallen, Ghazni, calling in missions, just like Jason Amering did with his 12-man team, wiping out hundreds of dudes with B-52s, B-1s, and everything else. They could sit right up there, just like you saw in the movie 12 Horses, or Horse Soldiers, whatever the hell it was. Not 12 Strong, but
12 Strong.
12 Strong, yeah. They could be up there on a mountaintop, lasing them, calling it in, and wreaking havoc on these dudes riding in around in Toyota Hiluxes, right? But when you don't have that coverage, they're rolling in on a fast approach, and they're going to come right in and clean house. And then they're going to win by fear. They're going to show brutality. They're going to show 20 years of it pent up, and come into those cities that we've been in: Kandahar, Herat, Ghazni, Kunduz, Mazar-e Sharif, all of them, and show, oh, you've been helping out working with the Americans. We're making who's the ones who've been helping them. We're going to make examples right up front, and people are going to cower. They have no way to defend. I get it. We should have been out of there. And I'm glad we're out, but we did not lead the right way, because if there's one thing that and the movie Talladega Nights, it hits home. It's if you ain't first, you're last. When it comes to combat, that's the truth. You either win or you lose. There's no in between. There's no graceful departure, graceful withdrawal, or any of that shit, right? It's either you won, and you won with overarching freaking power and force, and you obliterated the enemy, or you're half stepping and you're losing one way or the other. And
I want to touch on something real fast,
yeah.
Which it's not going to be.
Sorry
fast
about that. I ranted. Sorry.
I'm going to filibuster. Yes. I'm going to filibuster like they're doing in the Texas State Capitol right now.
You're not flying out. You're not going to fly out of Texas, are you? You're going to stay there.
No. Okay. I'm not that afraid of this, but no. We claim that we put thought into it, and I had Jen Psaki, in the two previous administrations, being the spokesperson for the State Department, and we know they actually suck at diplomacy. The Iran deal, if it takes a bunch of celebrities to try and sell something to the American people, they don't know what they're doing. If you have to employ a bunch of people that can't comprehend anything other than getting their order right at Starbucks to sell a political policy to the public, you probably are in the wrong line of work. The thing that's so sad is we say we care about some things. There's some things that we say as Americans that we will not compromise on, and that we believe in. We sometimes even put a hashtag in front of it.
Ooh.
Yeah, just to show
how serious we are.
Four times the commitment to the cause is what a hashtag means. 4 times the commitment to the cause. But it wasn't days. It wasn't days until the Taliban started roping up and securing any eligible, and I feel like I'm using that word incorrectly, what they feel is eligible sexual material and enslaving it.
Young
So
girls
like
below the age of 15,
young
all of
girls,
us,
young boys,
and women,
like
and women
yeah,
too.
anything that they felt was sexual material. It doesn't matter what gender, it doesn't matter what age. Anything that they feel, you can go read Kite Runner if you want to learn a little bit more about it. But you know,
Bakabazi, yeah.
like they have already within days done this. Now everyone's like, oh, I can't believe the ISIS did that. Like we knew that this was going to happen, and so not only did we turn our backs on our counterparts, we turned our backs
On innocent,
on everything that we
yeah,
said that we care about.
right, right.
Like
They
you
went in there
cannot
saying
put
they
hashtag Me Too. You cannot
right.
put hashtag Me Too and fucking support what just went down.
Right. They went in there. They went in the
Like,
villages and towns and went to their elders and said, "Give us a list of all the women, married or not, all the women 14 to 42. That was their age limit. 14 to 42. Tell us where they're at. We want to know who they are and where they're at.
yeah.
And guess what?
So
Or we'll
like,
cut your head off." And they're like, "Here you go." Right.
yeah. Like the there's my boy Ricky John asking the solid hashtag question. It's a legitimate question.
That is
The
legit.
That's a legitimate hashtag question. No, like you can't say that you care about these things and they're important to you, and just knowingly turn your back. Like we had 2 decades to think about this. We had 2 decades to witness and to understand, and to think of ways that we can mitigate this. Now, I will say, the one thing that I am proud of, in theory, is that we are making an effort to bring those that we can that helped us back.
Yeah.
Now, it's probably not the right people, and it's not enough of the people.
some are going to slip
And
through.
many people have died because, only but a month ago, the administration outed a lot of our sources over there. And by outing them, they put it like doxing them, whatever term you want to do it, like,
Right.
Sent them to their deaths. Like we are starting to make an effort to bring some of our interpreters in some of the crucial people that like helped us,
The interpreters and
because
their families, and then when they helped us and their
their
families.
families.
Yes.
So like I know the State Department, which is hard to believe that they're going to try and get after this, but they are going to try and create a quick, and I believe they can. I believe they can do it. I believe that they can come up with a very quick amnesty program to get a bunch of people into the country. The reason I believe that they can do it is because only hours from here,
It's
by the
happening.
tens of thousands,
It's happening right now. 20,
so I believe
24/7. In
like,
fact, we just found out
like,
212,000 in the last month. 212,000 came across that we know of.
so I believe that we can get some of them in.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that they're, all kidding aside, that they're making a concerted effort to do this is they've dedicated over 1,000 people to assist in this.
Army soldiers and airmen to go to Qatar to help. This is all public
and
knowledge.
putting them into Qatar to help with this process. And like that warms my heart. And that's a smart way to do it. When you think about it logistically, if you can get them onto a plane and we can move a couple hundred at a time in between flights, that's a lot of time to be able to like process them through, find a host nation for them to go onto. It doesn't have to be America. And believe me when I say a lot of these people don't want to come to America. They want to come to a place where, like a host nation will receive them. And, so like there's the opportunity to find a host nation for them, or bring them into the United States.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I hope they get front loaded. And if they want to fly them into Austin, Texas, and they want people to help set up sites, I'm down for it. And the reason for that is they've done a lot to help our people, help our brothers and sisters, help our country, and to help protect us over there. They punched their ticket to be here.
Yeah, I mean,
They're not someone that's throwing their kid over a fence.
right.
They're not someone that's engaged in criminality to get here. They're someone that punched their ticket and they deserve the flight, um, and they deserve the opportunity. And speaking of the flight, uh, so all American citizens were asked to leave the country last week, and they were offered cash to do it. And like that's one of the things that like cracks me up. It's like so we can't we can't take care of hurricane people, but in Afghanistan we're like, I tell you what, you really should leave. Here's some money to do it.
Here's some money, and we'll give you a free shot too, right? You get all that.
Yeah.
The No, I mean it is and that should have been a sign there, right? Just last week the administration was saying no, we think they're still going to do fine, blah blah blah, talking out both sides of their mouth. At the same time, they're asking everyone to get out. Now, this is all public knowledge. Nate, I'm going to get to you. Thank you for your comment. I'm definitely getting back to you for in a second. Now we have 3,000. This is what I heard today, and I think you can confirm if you heard the same thing, Toby. 3,000 Marines and our infantry soldiers going into Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul to extract and evacuate 2,500 Americans and Terps and their families. Roughly 2,500. Yes. I think, and then another
give or take.
Yeah, then another brigade of the 82nd, probably the on-call Green, as you mentioned, Green Ramp Brigade, going into Kuwait. Right, this is all public knowledge. Going into Kuwait, that's going to stage out of there, being ready. So pretty much 2 brigades worth, pretty much almost what would used to be known as a division worth of troops. Right, 2 brigades used to make up a division back before they made it 3, and they're going to be in Kuwait, ready to just shoot over. It's only a couple-hour flight. Right into Afghanistan if they need it. Plus, who knows what what ships are going off site, everything else, and then 1,000 soldiers and airmen to help process these Terps out of Qatar. So we're looking at roughly, probably it's safe to say 8,000 to 9,000 troops deploying into theater. Into theater just weeks away from when the President Biden had claimed that September 11th was going to be, we'd be out by that 20th anniversary. So going into theater at almost the 20-year mark to extract our people. It
takes an invasion force to
get your force,
to get you guys up.
I
love conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
I love conspiracy theories. So I just want to latrine lawyer it a little lima real fast.
Okay.
There will be mustard stains.
Oh, really?
You
think they're jumping in? You think the Army?
There's just not going to be enough room on the airfield to get all the birds down. There's going to be a couple of chalks that are going to have to jump.
Do you think? We don't know. I don't know. I don't know personally, and I don't know if Toby knows, and I'm not sure if Rob could find out. But do you think the Army part of the 3,000 going into Kabul is maybe a Ranger battalion? And they're going to get their, you think it's second Bad Boys or something going to jump in?
There's mustard stains coming.
You
heard it here first.
Keep in mind, there's roughly 2,000 soldiers on the airport right now already there. So they're gonna be like, hey, why are these guys jumping? Like, hey, somebody dropped their K-pot. It just freaking, their Kevlar just hit the airfield. Some Ranger's going to be doing freaking push-ups.
Hey, I'm pretty sure there's some 173rd mustard stains for jumping into like
a very secure, secure northern. Yeah.
So, mark my words. There's going to be some mustard stains. Because you can only get 2 battalions. You can only get 2 battalions on the deck, and
if you fly Omni Air, if you fly Omni Air 747 and make everyone take their bolt out of their weapon and put it in their cargo pocket, you can pack a lot of troops in there. You just gotta do it right? So, get some Omni Air or Sun Country Airline charter flights in there. But it's it is a mess. Nate, I want to go back to you. You bring up you probably, I'm sure, referring to my, if you ain't first, you're last. I mean, yes, I agree that at the combat level, myself, when I was in a number of TICs or battles, essentially, as people may know them as, or whatever, firefights, whatever you want to call it. When I was there, right, we won them. Right, we killed the bad guy. We took it to him, things like that. And I felt like I came out of there and we won what we needed to. We accomplished what we needed to. And there have been many. And I don't think that's any different than the people, my father and his friends and his peers and his generation that did that in Vietnam. I know my dad did 3 tours in Nam. He kicked a lot of butt and won a lot of battles. But at the end of the day, I think a lot. My phone's been blowing up all day. I've been hearing from all kind of people. I think a lot of folks are even though they didn't want to be there anymore, they thought, and these are vets too, right? They think we should be out of there. Gold Star families that lost their loved ones over there probably felt we'd be out of there. Still, probably don't find any solace in seeing us, seeing how this is happening so fast. It is by all means a political failure, just like Vietnam was a political failure, and any other battle that we've seen where politicians have been involved. That's been the problem. Too many lawyers and too many politicians on the battlefield. Too many lawyers on the battlefield. Too many politicians making decisions. Right. This country in the last I don't know, 50 years, roughly 50 years, has lost its guts to let an army, let a military, let a war department do what it does best, and that's execute war, right? That's why it used to be called the War Department. War is ugly. You can go watch the Saving Private Ryans and all the movies from about World War II that are fairly realistic as best we know, and you can see it is not pretty and it's not politically correct and all that kind of stuff. But this country has lost its stamina to let a military go in and do what it does. When it sings cadence every morning, when his 18, 19-year-olds sing a cadence about blood makes the grass grow, and all those great cadences we used to sing that are probably no longer allowed. Yellow Bird smashing his head.
Yellow Bird.
And C-130 rolling down the strip, right? If I die in Korea, hope I die of gonorrhea. Anyways, I won't go into the cadences, but you have that happen, and you get these young men and women ready to go in, find, fix, and kill the enemy, but then you put them in some place and say establish governments, and they go, what RTEP is that? What FM do I go to understand execute and establish governance, dig wells, build schools, and perform State Department duties? That does not happen. If you're going to go into a country that has more time in war than our country has in existence, and expect we're going to go in there and westernize them, and you think that's the measuring stick, and then you're absolutely not going to succeed at the end. I don't think anyone's surprised about this happening. I think what we're surprised about is how quick it's happening. At least I am, and it's disgusting to see happen.
No, like I feel like it was only a fast couple years ago that you and I were having this very same conversation about Iraq. And I had the opportunity to be in Iraq after we had left on the ground. Like not in a military capacity.
That Pucker factor was tight, Jack. That was tight.
Some would say it was like adventure tourism, but
no. That thing was tight as a seal's butt, man. There was no water getting in that thing.
And to see and honestly to see what had happened and what had transpired in a very short period of time, because I want to say I was it 11 or 12 I went in, but it was heartbreaking to see. It was heartbreaking to see after spending years in that country, like how things had immediately reverted back.
You give your time away from your family, your friends, your peers, your fellow soldiers give their freaking lives or limbs or anything else. You watch marriages be destroyed. You watch families get ripped apart and go through the stresses. And you know what? The American soldier and their family are okay with that. They're willing to sign that dotted line and accept that if they feel like it's for a reason. When you see those Iraqis come out with this purple fingers, I can imagine it wasn't there, but I can imagine that had to give you a moment of swelling of pride that look what we did. We gave these people this option, this capability, and this freedom to do this. Something that our country takes for granted every freaking 2 years, not even 4 years, right?
I'm trying to find it. This message, from one of my boys, a group tech from a couple of my boys, that we're all privates together back in the day. We have a group chat still going, since the 90s. But one of the things that really sunk in this morning, two of the guys in this chat are still active. And crazily, we were all privates in the infantry together, and most of them, all but me, commissioned. and they're now field grade officers, in different
God
capacities.
bless them in today's military. Oh my lord.
Yeah, no, for real. But this this little message that was part of our thread just like really hit me this morning, and it just simply says, so many folks, comma, wives, comma, kids like, quote, why, end quote, question mark. So many folks, wives, and kids are like, why? You
Yeah.
know, like, and that like really hit. Like today, watching all this, unfold, reading that message, that like just really hit, because the guy is cool with it. You and I are cool with it. Like we know what went down. We know how it went down. We know what we could have done. We know what we didn't do. We know what we did do,
Right.
and we're cool with it. Sucks, it stings, but we're cool with it. So many folks, moms, dads, wives, husbands,
Siblings.
siblings, kids, like you gave them nothing. Like you gave them nothing. You didn't even give them the decency of an explanation. And it's, man, it's like you could have given them something. Like, and everyone's like, like I'm not harping about victory. I'm just saying, like, you had 10 fucking years to come up with a plan to avoid what's going down right now.
Right.
Like, yeah,
And
yeah,
what we see
yeah,
happen, what we see happen was I read those Afghan reports, the I think the DODIG or whatever, I don't remember exactly, but back when McChrystal was there, back when P4 was there, when Petraeus, hell, when Eichelberry was there, right, which is when my time was there. They would do those reports on a yearly basis. It seemed like it was always in the fall. It came out. It was like a status of Afghanistan, and it was always the same shit. It was always, it's right around the corner. Oh, they're doing this great thing. Oh, they've got 5 new aircraft. It was this, and me and my guys, we talk about it every year. We still do. When I just came off a reunion trip with them. We do it every summer. We still talk. We talk about how when I was there, we used to rank the Afghan army and then eventually the police when we started working with them, on a 1 to 5 basis, and a 1 was the top. A 1 was completely independent to operate, right? And a 2 was they were almost there, minimal support needed by us, like air and Kazovac and that kind of stuff. And they had this stupid spreadsheet. I probably talked about on the show before, or one of our other ones. And you had to rank your unit on a 1 to 5. 1 being best, 5 was like they're bubbling idiots licking the windows. And the spreadsheet was locked and it had a password on it. It was an Excel spreadsheet, and me and my team chief had to rank our Afghans of a unit how they did. And once you made them a certain level, they locked it where you could never go back. Right? It was this kind of fake BS as far back as
yeah,
2006, where okay, let's say we made them a 3, but then the next month we caught half the battalion screwing each other on a Thursday night, and the other half high as hell in the guard towers. Like maybe they're a 4 because they're kind of just a whole bunch of whatever, and we couldn't take it back. So we got them to a 2 one time. And then something happened. I think a whole bunch of them accidentally shot each other. We did have an incident where a guy with an AK in the back of a Toyota or in the back of a Ford Ranger accidentally sprayed everyone in the cab and killed them all. But that's a whole other story. But I think at some point happened they did something really dumb. We said make him a 3, and it was locked. Well, I'm an IT guy. My team chief says, "Hey, Stu, can you fix this? We need to make it real. Like we need to tell him the truth." Of course, I broke the password. It wasn't that hard. That's what I do, right?
it was
Password.
not victory.
Yeah. And so I changed
Key,
it, and we
at
changed
symbol,
and we sent it up to
dollar sign,
yeah, exactly,
capital.
capital P, and so we sent it back up, and some staff weenie up there saw that we reversed the number, and I broke the password on it. The ass chewing we got, just I mean from an '06 on the phone
Like,
screaming
how
at both
dare
of us.
you?
Don't you
You know
ever
who looks at that thing?
yeah, don't you ever change it back. And we're like, but it's true. Like they're not quite there. We thought they were, but they took a step back. Nope. Once they go forward, you never turn back. So that kind of mentality at the micro level down at the Kandak, which is an Afghan battalion, and that was in '06. You multiply that all the way up the chain, and those people briefing commander after commander, all the way up to this report that goes to the president and the entire Congress. You can imagine how that has multiplied, where nobody ever went backwards. Everything was good. Oh, look, they're doing this on their own, but not telling the whole truth. They're doing this on their own because we're prodding them with cattle prods and making them do it, right? That kind of shit, we saw it then. And to see that report come out every year and make it sound like it's so great, like, wow, they're really going to take off and run with this. They're going to do it. You see now the outcome in the last 24 hours of what it was like to bullshit people for the last freaking 15 years, right?
I'd like to be trolling that dude with some Paula Abdul, like, I take 2 steps forward, he takes 1 step back.
Yeah.
I'd be trolling the shit out. Every time he turned on the mic, I'd hot mic it with some Paula Abdul.
So my whole team is, like I talked about, like we chat all the time, like multiple times a day. The memes that I send you, Toby, a lot come from them. The joke all the time, every time something comes out, is like, there are 2. No matter what happens. Oh, they caught an Afghan commander, like, screwing 5 goats out of the back. He's a 2. Everybody's a 2, right? There's no going. Everyone's at the top of their game. Right now, there are 2 over there fighting against turning over cities as fast as they can do it, right? That's what's going to happen. The Afghan forces are on the ropes. They look at us to be in their corner. We ain't there. Not even a JTAC with a radio to B-52, and the enemy is pummeling them. And yeah, it probably won't even be 3 weeks, especially when you have the president begging the enemy not to attack our embassy because they're expecting the Taliban to take over Kabul, like, in no time at all.
Yeah, didn't we like negotiate with them in the past? How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, we did. They're supposed we were going to be all peaceful. And so, they
did we not drop pallets of cash to them?
We probably have. Yes. We gave 5. You heard what they did in Kandahar.
Did we not incentivize them by giving them 475 million for like 5 years straight to not grow opium?
Yeah, to not grow opium. Now it's
like,
yeah.
How's the track record with, like, yes?
And this isn't a Biden administration thing. This has been administration after
like,
administration.
I'm just saying, like, have
right.
we not?
Right.
You can pick any administration.
Yeah.
Have we not negotiated with the Taliban in the past?
Yep, we absolutely have. Yeah.
Have we ever come out on top?
Never.
Have they ever kept their word?
Absolutely never.
Yeah. So
What's the definition of crazy?
This is the time. This is the time.
What's the definition of crazy,
like,
right?
We're the guy at the roulette wheel that's like, this is the time. Like, all of it. Put all of it.
All in. Just push it all in.
Put all of it.
Yes.
But not on red or not on black. I specifically want number 13. This is the time.
Yeah. Yeah. We can laugh about it, but, we laugh in sadness, and the fact that, I would like to have seen that the country needed to stand up on their own. They need to and do things themselves and be accountable for themselves. But God bless, they needed a little bit more time to do that. Not more time of all of our soldiers being there, but they needed. You would hope that 20 years and the billions we've put in there, they would have, like, at some point after 2 generations have come through, would have a little bit more pride in their country and not just their tribe, to say we're going to do this for. We're going to do this for Afghanistan, and they're serious about it. And, we're trying to provide a better country for our people. It's never been that way. And maybe it's nirvana for me to even say that, because in all their existence, right, the country's always been tribal. It's never been about the country of Afghanistan. There's a reason Karzai was always called the mayor of Kabul. He was never considered the president of the country, because the rest of the country wouldn't give a shit about him. And you saw that because he stuck himself to Kabul, right? But he could say whatever he wanted. And the president since then is the same way. But you would think they would have had a little bit more time to get their crap together and maybe try to make it work. But, what does this tell? This is no different than when we backed out on the Kurds after Desert Storm and we left them hanging. It tells the entire world, right, that, just like the Afghan saying says, and I've said it a million times because I heard it myself over there, Americans have the watches, Afghans have the time. and they have proven that they can wait out anybody, and they can send round after round of cannon fodder in front of us, and we can mow them down and blow them up. They still got more coming, and all they have to do is wait us out. They have now done that. The entire world has seen yet again the American political realm and policy, foreign policy, is not in for the long haul. Not like it used to be, where we went in and rebuilt Germany, and we did that, or we did stuff in Japan, and we went into countries after we wiped them out and helped stand them back up and get them going and become vibrant societies. It's not like that anymore, because we didn't make the effort to really wipe out the enemy here. That's the bottom line.
The U.S. Eighth Army's motto since 1953.
Yeah, probably.
Some might need to Google that, unpaid producer, but is "Together we go." That's the motto today as well. Since the 1950s, we've stood with our arms locked with our South Korean counterparts.
Yeah.
And
that's the last ones we did that with. That's the last one.
Yeah. We've done it kind of with Japan.
Well, that was before.
Our arrangement is a little bit different.
Yeah, that was before. But I mean, the last ones in our history was Korea.
But our arrangement is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Japan's arrangement in terms of rebuilding and us and our relationship with them is a little bit different. But since the 1950s, we said and promised the Korean people that together we would go. Our arrangement in, Germany was a little bit different. Obviously, we weren't the only folks there. Kind of got divided up. But
Mike, Mike, comment. You're absolutely right. Right, you cannot compare the rebuilding of Germany, Japan, Afghanistan, or Philippines, or any of those.
Yeah. But correct. But what I'm saying is our commitment.
Right.
Mike's absolutely right. But our commitment to those people was this.
We screwed ourselves in the fact that we're not that we didn't keep a foothold. Might be
the only time in our history that we actually kept our word to anybody.
Right. We didn't keep, and we're screwing ourselves. We never have had a presence there underground. We finally had a chance to keep a presence in that part of the country around Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, China. It gave us a foothold right in the center of Southwest Asia. Right, that definitely could have been managed and negotiated a lot better to maybe just keep a big ass Kandahar base or something like that, and just keep building it up, or Bagram, and having a foothold, a place where you could rotate in like you rotate into Korea or Germany or else, where you
Sinai Peninsula,
or Sinai Peninsula, where you rotate in for 6 months, 8 months at a time, and you have fresh soldiers in there, and they're training and they're working with stuff and they're doing things. They're still a threat, but we have a presence. We're a deterrent, right? Right now, the Chinese, just a few weeks ago, were Chinese and Russians, as soon as within a week of pulling out of Bagram, were already moving in, trying to help invest in Afghanistan and helping them build their infrastructure already. We know absolutely and I can't believe they were letting the Russians do it, because they still hate the Russians, but they were. And the Chinese moved into the northern zone.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right, and they're in there helping build. We're here for you, Afghanistan, because the Americans left you high and dry. They are not waiting a second, but now this has happened. So all I'm saying is, yes, we didn't need to be there, and I was the first one to say, but we should have, for our own country and our own best interest, we should have kept a force there in an isolated place, but at least had a foothold with a SOFA agreement, right, in place, where we could have kept a presence there in the country and be able to jump and respond anywhere, right? It had been a hardship tour like Sinai or Korea or something like that, but why would we not do that? I just can't understand why we would not make that kind of. I'd much rather be there than Germany, right? I'd much rather be there.
Oh, for sure, right? For sure. No, but and I don't think we need to be, in Japan and Korea, Germany are good examples of, while we influence their governance, we do not participate in their governance. And I think in terms of Afghanistan and Iraq, there was, this interference, not influence. There was an interference with governance, and you can be there. There's this little island to the south of of Florida, where my main homie Mike Harris likes to reside and has a sailboat and likes to go around and drink the mojitos. The Where we've had a base for a hot minute.
Yeah.
In fact, a contested base.
It was there long before we put prisoners there.
Yeah, a contested base, and like Guantanamera, so
We got a great lease agreement on that one. It's better than Airbnb.
we did. We got a bit of a bargain. We've been subletting a little bit, which is getting awkward, but no, in reality, there are things that we could have done, and all I'm saying is we've had some really interesting examples in different political structures and different cultures to develop something where we could, and I've always said it, bring the boys home. But there's things that we could have done to have changed and provided a little more stability.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because what's happening right now is there's a lot of girls and boys, and today's Thursday night, so
Ooh.
there's a lot of howling going on.
It is. There's a lot of bad things happening to innocent people right now. I guarantee to you.
And they are not going to make the planes, and they're not going to make it to the airfield. And we are going to leave some exceptionally deserving people, and there are people like one of my favorite things, when anytime someone talks to, like we've had my interpreter on this show, we've had your interpreter on this show, that we've both taken efforts to bring our interpreters from, where we've been to here. Like Harris, absolutely a hardship tour base. We've had a lot of opportunity to learn these lessons, and we could bring people back. And the story I like to remind people of is there was a doctor. There's two different doctors I want to reference, but there was a doctor in Afghanistan that walked, I don't know, 25 miles to tell the Americans that he had one of their guys hidden in his goat shed on his property, and that was the lone survivor of a little operation called Red Wings, a guy by the name of Petty Officer Marcus Luttrell. And that guy is now living in Texas. When people do right by us, well, we should do right by them. And there's a lot of people that have done a lot to help our friends and families that we are not doing enough for, because it's too late. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that we're getting the ones that are going to make it to the airplanes, are going to make it to the airfield. I'm glad that we're, sending 1,000 people to Qatar to work on that. Was that Camp Ali Asaline?
That's Prince? Kuwait. Yeah. Al Asaline is Kuwait. Yeah, I don't know what is in Qatar. I never got to go to Qatar except when I flew there on a civilian reason.
Prince Aliyah or something like that, the air base or whatever. But the
gorgeous airport.
But I'm also, I'm just kind of bummed out though that it's not like we didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that they're like, the intelligence says the country's gonna, no shit.
Right. Look, I said it before he was elected, right? Biden has proven, and some people have said it since, he has been wrong on every major foreign policy input he's ever said. He did not want, he was the only one that tried to give advice to President Obama not to take Osama bin Laden out. He said it wasn't worth it. He said, no, don't do it. Everyone else is saying do it. He was the one, after we went in and conquered Iraq and trying to figure out what to do, it was his harebrained idea to split the country into three countries. A Kurd, Sunni, and Shia country. In the three separate countries, let them establish a border, let them all set up, and then everyone would live fine and go after that, right? That they would be totally fine, and they'd be fine with their little slice of the Iraqi pie, right? Everything that guy has ever had opinion on has been 100% wrong. But now he's in a position to make change on it, make effect, and we're seeing what's happening. and this one's going to hang around his neck. They can try to hang it around others. They surely can't hang around President Trump, because we know from far, as far as we can look back, from before President Trump was elected, he wanted soldiers out of Iraq and Afghanistan. He was
Yep.
outspoken opponent of us being in Iraq, and he was all for getting them out there. And he hired and fired a lot of generals working for him. But honestly, unlike he didn't fire him because they said something to Rolling Stone. He fired him because he didn't trust their opinion, or he felt they were trying to drag things out. And he deep sixed them and said, nope, give me somebody else. So you can't hang it on them. I guess they could try to hang it on. Maybe they can go back to GW. Maybe they want to go back that far, because they're not going to actually hang anything on Obama, even though Biden was his VP for 8 years, as he was the king of the drones and hellfires. But no, it's this one's going to hang on Biden for sure, because he could have handled it a lot of different ways.
I mean, I think that's a romantic notion to say that it'll hang on him, because it won't. Like,
well,
Rob
the press may not hold him accountable, but I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing is,
if you're going to take credit for ending a war, then you take credit for losing a war, or take blame.
I mean,
in my opinion,
when we think of presidents, the term legacy always comes up, because you want to know what that guy's legacy was. Reagan had a pretty good one. Some other people had some pretty good ones. Some other ones had some pretty comical ones. You got the legacy of Bill Clinton. No matter what he did, there will always be a cum stain on a dress, and
or a cigar,
or the placement of cigars. Like he's not going to get hung with this. The press aren't going to hold him accountable. Nobody's going to hold him accountable. But like, the reality is, it's those company grade officers and stuff that started speaking policy into Obama's ear that now have, stuck with the party and now have jobs. They're trying all their fucking harebrained ideas.
Yeah.
Like this dude, Mr. Lobotomy, and I say that because he's had 2 freaking brain surgeries. Like, he's not coming up with these policies. Like, we know that.
You're not talking about Beaker?
The dude can't find his way into the house that he lives in without someone escorting.
Right.
Right? Like, we have people in our peer group that are just like, man, I got this idea. What if? And they float it out there, and someone's like, like, that sounds smart. And
a good idea fairy is bringing it strong.
Like a junior field grade officer came up with the coin doctrine, while getting his brain baked out in the ambar, and we went after it for 5 or 6 years, and sold it all the way through Congress,
right.
When the guys that were shortlisted for the VA, like, when you think about who that they were going to put in charge of the largest institution of the United States government outside of the Department of Defense, which is the Veterans Administration, we know people that were shortlisted, and I wouldn't trust that kid to hold my Snickers bar.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
we know some that are we know some that resemble we know some that resemble Muppet characters that have influence into this administration. I mean, and truly, couldn't even put the helmet on right to wear, much less wear it while they lick the window. But yeah, it's
like, if you're taking policy cues from Paul Rieckhoff, I mean, come on. Like,
yeah, that's a wrong cat. No, it is. I'm just the speed of which things happen in the last 24 hours, from a disorganized, a force like the Taliban and all their hodgepodge that they've assembled to do this, whether they're paying them off or whatever, to think about, again, like I go back to the analogy of having someone on the ropes in a match or a ring or something, the hits are landing, right? Herat, Kandahar, Ghazni, opening up 2 prisons and releasing all the prisoners. Guess who just joined their
Like
ranks? Right?
that's that's not a power move.
Yeah. Hey, we're releasing you. Here's an
The three
AK,
largest prisons, like
but let open, right? And then
yeah, they
they're
should let them vote too
they probably will. They are. I
immediately.
guarantee you, they are racing as fast as they can. They are enjoying this press and this and the talking points and the IO campaign they're going to do. As they're gonna. I guarantee you, they're going to try to knock out the entire country as fast as they can. In a week from now,
All right,
next week's show, I think it's going to be drastically different. It's going to be worse
all
to a
right.
degree we can't.
So like, so not to be Debbie Downer, but just to kind of put things in perspective, you have Miracle on Ice happening in Afghanistan. You have a bunch of like rowdy college kids taking on the world's superpower and getting them in 2 periods, not 3, like record time. You know, you think they're not going to pump this up. Look at what ISIS did in terms of like their PR machine
Right.
and pumping it up, right? And there's some definite connections between the Taliban and ISIS, especially in terms of like, you know, leadership communications, how they do certain PR policies and stuff like that. Uh, you don't think that they're not, you know, touting to the world that they took down the world's largest superpower? Because they're not saying that they took down Afghanistan.
No.
They're saying that they put the U.S. on notice and they put the U.S. out, and they did it in this amount of time. It took the U.S. 10 years to get the territory that they took in 3 days.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Saying you knocked out,
It,
saying you beat
I
up a
mean,
little
it's
kid down the
miracle for
street.
them. It's the miracle on ice.
Yeah.
You don't think they're not going to make movies about that shit?
Saying you beat up the little kid down the street, the Afghan security forces, ain't impressing a lot of people. Saying you beat the biggest dude in you beat the toughest dude in Letterkenny, that's bragging rights. Right.
No, like pity patter.
Yeah.
Pity patter, because they, you know, they're making movies about this. It's going to be on Netflix in probably
Al
like
Jazeera's producing it right now.
6 months. It's going to be on Netflix in 6 months, you know, and it is going to be how they beat the U.S. military, not how they beat the Afghan forces.
Right.
You know, like, and it'll be classically done. The only, you know, weapon systems that they'll, you know, be seen in the footage will be M4s and M16s.
Dude, they're
It won't
driving
be
our
AKs.
MRAPs and stuff around
They're
everywhere
going to be
now.
they're going to be blowing up MRAPs. They're going to be blowing up Humvees. The same thing that ISIS did.
Yeah.
ISIS, you know, made all those promotional videos and movies about their success of creating a caliphate, and they didn't say that they beat, you know, the Syrians. You know, they said that they engaged the United States and Kurdistan. They said that they engaged the United States in Syria, and we weren't even in Syria at the time.
Right.
They will always just put the U.S. in front of whatever thing, and they're going to pump it up, and they're going to distro the shit out of it. They got like, dude, no one can hustle the street distribution. I mean, we think that we got guerrilla marketing in the United States with people walking around Times Squares handing out demo tapes. Ain't nothing.
You ain't seen nothing until you've seen a bazaar in Iraq or Afghanistan.
That ain't nothing. Like just someone like DVD.
Yeah.
Mister.
Hey, how many times did you see a movie and you're like, this is like just went into theaters, and you're like, yes, I got it for you, my friend, my Sergeant Major. You were my favorite. Yes. You're like, no, this just like went in theaters like 48 hours ago. I have a copy for you right here. This is top quality, good stuff. Yeah. Right. You know, it's like, you're like, season 8 hasn't even come out. They're producing it in the year. Oh, I have season 8 already. It's like, like what?
You might have to look to bad hair, but it is here.
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah. I don't mean to make light, but I'm also being serious.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think that they're not making cinema renditions of how they think that this is going, this is their big historical moment.
Yeah.
You know, they took down, you know, like every empire, you know, from Herod to Alexander the Great, you know, to the British,
to the Russians, now the Americans,
to us. Like, there hasn't been an empire on the face of the planet that they haven't been able to withstand. And they're going to say that the greatest one of all time, the greatest empire in the history of mankind, is the American Empire. And they're going to say that they took it down in days.
Yeah. Well, the meme that our good friend Chuck sent us earlier, right? Pretty much the little cartoon of the Afghan putting all the
Oh,
helmets
the
on the
helmets,
post.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the latest post, he's putting
Like
a
Herod's,
yeah,
Alexander the Great,
yeah,
yeah, all those too,
British,
yeah,
Russians, and now Army,
yeah.
U.S. American, combat helmet. Yeah. But yeah, it's like say in a week, hell, probably in a day, but by this time next week, no telling what it's going to look like. It's going to be either way, unless part of that 3,000 are a whole bunch of folks that know how to call in air, and they're moving some people in that aren't just part of the 3,000 secure that, but actually get some folks on the ground to help slow this down and do that kind of stuff. I mean, I just don't know. The motivation and morale in the Afghan military is already low enough. When you start seeing all this stuff, I mean, they're getting the word. When you start seeing these units collapse and these cities fall, they're going to be like, I'm taking this uniform off. I'm out of here. They're not going to fight. They're not going to die in place. They don't have the kind of, the umph that like the Japanese did and others that said, no, we'll never surrender. We'll sit here and fight till we don't know. They're going to shed that uniform, put the man jammies on, and try to slip right back in and act like they never
Yeah,
even.
well, we have this thing that we believe in the chain of command, right?
Right.
Like culturally, we believe in the chain of command, and there is a head, there is a leader, and that leader, is human and fallible, and so like when we sign on to follow that leader, we commit to that.
Right.
They don't have that on any side.
No.
They don't have a chain of command. Now you can say that they have a chain of command. You can say that we created a chain of command for them, but in reality, like there is no dynamic leader that's inspiring them like the emperor inspired
There's also no carrot or
the
stick.
young men of Japan, the young Japanese boys,
Right.
to fly into vehicles.
There's also no
Shit.
carrot or stick. What are they gonna do? Threaten them? They're like, I'll just quit. I'll walk away. They may look at him and say, "You're a Hazara. I'm Pashto." They don't even, just because of their tribes, they don't even respect each other. Their leadership may be. I mean, I watch privates and buck sergeants get made sergeant majors when a sergeant major gets killed because the battalion commander, the Kandak commander, and that sergeant were from the same tribe. And he jumped. He was like, nope, you are now the sergeant major. I'm like, this dude's got 14 months in the army, and your sergeant major who's got and like, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, there was no. It's that loose down there that. So yeah, there's no loyalty, there's no respect, there's no esprit de corps, there's no nothing. So yeah, when it gets tight, that's why there's another great saying from the Afghans. You can't buy an Afghan, but you can always rent one. That's why they shift sides. They go with whoever's winning. You can never buy their loyalty, but you can rent it for a price. And part of that price is also who's winning. That's what side they go to.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just reality. So, anyways, we've been hitting it for long enough. We've been on an hour and 20. We've been talking a lot of Afghanistan. I was wanting to talk some virus stuff. We may have to cover that later. Toby, is there anything else before we cut it for our night? It's been great talking to you about it.
Yeah, no, just one thing, in case anyone watching or listening is politically curious. There's been a call for a special election in Canada.
What?
And oh yeah, just we'll slide it in under the radar. And so the Prime Minister of Canada, this guy named Justin Bieber Trudeau, has called for a special election. He's hoping to knock it out this weekend. He called for it, like we'll go ahead and say yesterday. And he's going to try and knock it out over the weekend. And it's a special election. And the reason for that is he is the Prime Minister of Canada working with a government to which he is the minority. And he's been able to, Canada's not a two-party system. It's a multi-party system. They got like really 5 major parties. And he's been able to like work across a couple of different aisleways and hallways and alleyways, to kind of get some things done. But as COVID has continued and as things have gone on, and people are starting to push back, he's finding himself as the leader of a country with a cabinet and no legislative support. And unlike the American political system, where the legislative branch and the executive branch are separate, in Canada they are not as separate, and they have to work together. And
So what's
what
this
he's trying
election
to do
for? Yeah, what's this for?
what he's trying to do is he's trying to like quickly flip his minority government to a majority government, and do a power grab. And people, like, oh, that's really, but it's like,
So is this like
he
an
doesn't.
election out of cycle? Like it's like you say, it's a
Yeah,
special
like
election.
4 years out of cycle, 4 years out of cycle. So like he doesn't have to actually call this election for 4 years, yet he's like sliding it in. And
Hmm.
so the just watch that, folks, because if you're politically curious and you're a student of political science, and you're curious about how like and similar systems work, and everyone always likes to point out how awesome Canada is. And I tell you, the countryside is beautiful. The women are delightfully gorgeous. Some of the dudes can play this game that I appreciate deeply, and they make some rockin' comedy on Hulu.
That they do.
But that country's changing, and it's about to make a dramatic, drastic change, and it is not a free country. You
No, we've
don't
seen
have
that over
freedom
the
of
last few
speech.
months. Yeah.
It is not a free country. You don't have freedom of speech. And so, like, just if you're into politics and you're politically curious, check that out, and then think to yourself, how far away are we, the United States, from sliding that right there?
Right.
Because like they've been able to slide that in, and they've been able to slide it in because the government controls the media there. The government passed laws recently, legislation to monitor and censor individuals' Facebook and media, Facebook and social media posts. Right? Not, I mean all of social media, not just Facebook. So, like, when you control the information, you can bend it all you want, and you can slide things in. And here's a country immediately to our, we always make fun of Mexico, and we say what a hot mess Mexico is and how corrupt Mexico is. But like, you can have a dude with like bad hair that likes the Tragically Hip and be as corrupt as shit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
check that out. It's worth learning a little bit about, because it could be happening to a country near you.
Yeah. Just see how they acted during this whole pandemic thing over the last six
Yep.
months and what they did to their people. I've been telling all kind of people about it, and I've been telling people, go. You need to go check out this website. Check this with Rebel News, right? And see how
Yeah, I
they've
think
done.
they're all but shut down.
Yeah, they went after him.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it is hard to even find, because they were using social media, to put content out. And they're like, ah.
yep, yeah. So, yep, keep an eye on it for sure. Keep your eyes outside just our borders, because the world's a small place. Things that happen, whether it's war, whether it's whatever, affect us. And like
A
I
lot
say,
of people are closer to the northern border than the southern border
yep.
that listen to this show.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And
know
like you
that.
said, everyone thinks Canada is a safe, friendly, welcoming place, and it is. It has a lot of good attributes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the happy-go-lucky.
Girls, a lot of hot girls there.
Yeah, and they got a few good hockey players, but anyways, yeah. Sorry about that, but all right. Well, thank
Sorry.
you. What's that?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you. Good to be back on. What's up?
Oh,
What?
one more thing. Just a shout out to my people, the Austin Arsenal of
Oh,
the National
that's
Ball
right.
Hockey League. Yeah, that's right. Go into the national playoffs. That's right. Yours truly, stat holder in the National Ball Hockey League.
Awesome. I saw that. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. So congrats, Toby, because he's a man of many hats, and ball hockey and playing with balls is one of them. So, anyways,
very good.
You are. You're the best. All right, everybody. You guys have a great night. Good shout out also to our sponsors. We didn't even say at the beginning. Listen 9 Fight Company, Veteran Outdoors, Kermode, BooHammer.com, Gear for Grunts, Alpha Elite Performance, and all of our great sponsors make this happen. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for sticking with us for an hour and a half, and we hope everyone has a good night. Stay tuned to the news. Keep your eyes open. Learn as much as you can. Don't just take what is fed to you, but go research and find it out yourself. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Kermode Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.